Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to present to you and formally introduce Bob, Cos, and Arthur, the Play No Games podcast. It's your favorite podcast where we talk about real life and exchange a few laughs. We sticking to our path. When you find understanding, just know that that will never last. We ain't here to play no games. The world is getting
What's poppin', you guys? It is Cartier Rob, and I got a special for y'all today. We keep giving y'all hits after hits after hits. We might have the president on next time. That's how.
Hold up, that's kind of up in the air. We gotta see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's next week's episode. That's all, I'm saying. We gotta talk about who's the president. But we got a good, a cabinet of people today.
For sure. Let's take forward.
It's Cos.
And we have a show for y'all today. We have a couple of guests. We have a director. We have an actor of Portland's latest hit web series, Hassan Hates Portland, on today on the show.
Let's go. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I appreciate y'all for real. Want to get straight into it?
Let's get straight into it.
All right, so I've had the pleasure of watching the show. Just been keeping up with the episodes ever since. Actually, funny enough, I think the same week I saw it on my TikTok. Rob hit me up about it and was like, "Hey, bro, you heard about this new show that's about to get popping?" I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit mad because I was like, "Why didn't I think of this concept?" Because it's a fire concept, especially being someone that's black and from Portland. But let me ask you this. With Hassan Hates Portland, for someone who's never been to the city or hasn't watched the show, how would you describe it as far as what it's about?
You want to try that, Hassan, or should I take that?
It's all right with me.
That's it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
There it is.
And then all right, so for somebody who hasn't been to the town or hasn't even had a chance to peep a trailer or anything like that, how would you describe what the show's about?
I mean, on a simple level,
it's
about what Portland and places like Portland is like to be black in, At least that's the starting point of the show. And just, observing that experience, it's kind of unique, for Portland, but, there's kind of a Portland in every city, there's kind of a certain culture.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just about, what that's like, and in a lot of ways, just about seeing it through the eyes of a brother that lives here and is seeing what we're seeing. And it can be wild sometimes. It can be kind of surreal sometimes, but, a lot of it is just all based off of actual experience, of me or other brothers from the city.
Also, it's also,
I appreciate that.
In a manner of speaking, the show is about opening up a dialogue to talk about, and address these issues and these experiences. That, I mean...
Oh, you want to get all deep on me now, huh?
That may or may not be exclusive to, the angle and the position that we're coming from. But there's definitely something happening and has been that has been avoided, in topics of conversation. So it's time to talk about it.
Real. Now, before I get into my next question, I gotta ask Hassan, are you a Dodgers fan? Okay, real one. See, that's why I like this guy. Just a follow-up question real quick before I let my guys take the mic. Was this a collaborative effort between you and Mischa as far as building out the concept for the show? And what was that moment where you're like, we got to make this happen?
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. You know, the whole process of making it was definitely a collaboration between me and Hassan. I mean, I wrote it, I created it, directed it, but like this could only have happened with Hassan. You know, that's why his name's in the title. You know, like so it's you know, really this is kind of like a culmination of you know, a lot of conversations that we would have. We knew we were trying to. We knew there was a perspective. There was stories to tell that weren't being told, and there was jokes to be had that weren't being told. You know, and it took a while, you know, but it kind of built out of a lot of kind of conversations we were having and things we were observing, and that we wanted to, you know, capture. And you know, once we got down to shooting it, you know, it was really just kind of. You know, it was a matter of just kind of continuing that dialogue, you know, between us and with the other people that were involved. So, yeah, I mean, it's you know, there was before Hassan, there was these ideas, there was these concepts, but once we kind of put it into the persona, you know, of the character and of the person, it really came to life, you know, and that's what you see.
Real.
Awesome. That's dope. Mischa, I have a question I think might be a little more directed towards you, but is there any specific source material that you pulled for the inspiration of the show or anything that inspires you, you know, in other forms of media, whether that's television, film, that kind of the show gets a little bit of a vibe from?
Yeah, you know, yes and no. I mean, of course there is, but it'd be hard for me to say, you know, because honestly, I've never done a project like this, you know. I'm most of, you know, my background and a lot of the films I've made are dramatic, you know, they're not comedy, right? Like, or even dark comedy. You know, that said, so this is like its own, you know, this is kind of my first venture into that. But that said, there's such a deep, I get influenced by all sorts of stuff, you know, going way back, you know, so it's hard to pinpoint. Just the other night, someone brought up Hollywood Shuffle. This is great comedy from the 80s, Robert Townsend, you know, like about some black actors trying to make it in Hollywood and what they do, and brilliant. And you know, stuff like that. So there's so much to draw from, but a lot of it really came from experience and just kind of, I guess, conviction. You know, maybe it's a chip on my shoulder of seeing stories told about the city I'm from that just didn't
talk about it. Ooh.
It just didn't do it. It just didn't like. It didn't represent the city that I saw or the experience I had, and I really wanted to kind of get at that. And I just felt there was more to be told there, and so that was really, you know, on a deeper level. That's kind of where it came from for me, and wanted to kind of.
I think we connected through me having no problem whatsoever expressing often and heavily the hell I've been through in this city. I mean, oftentimes I kept not quiet, but very selective on, you know, who I open up and speak to about it. But with Mischa, yeah, it was guns blazing. Yeah, it was just
it was instantaneous. The moment we met, it was like, oh yeah, it's on.
Almost therapeutic in a sense.
Yeah. You know, like you know, from the jump, it was like, we get it. We get each other. Like, it's like, I've been waiting to meet you, you know, like we were just talking the same language, seeing the same things, and waiting for, you know, to be able to kind of confide and also laugh, you know. Because it's just like, you have to, you know, that's a lot of what the show is. It's like some of the stuff, the experience of it can be heavy or whatever, you know, being in Portland, but like, he's like, we gotta find the humor in it, you know. That's the therapy. That's the therapy. It's too much to carry around.
Absolutely.
I see what you did there. Yeah, but
I'm a writer too. He knows it.
Anyway, what I want to ask y'all is, I want to make this very self-explanatory for people who do not know y'all. I can read between the lines, but y'all are like Portland guys. But like for our Portland audience, like who is this like for?
Everybody and anybody. I never know how to answer that question, because I don't think me or Hassan think about it that way. Or like we never sit down and say, like, who are we making this for? It's like there's a story we're trying to tell, there's a vibe we're trying to catch, there's there's something we're trying to do, and it's so I'd say it's, for everybody. But I'd say it's just trying to get a different understanding of a place that we're all familiar with, but also trying to represent an experience that a lot of us are familiar with too, and to point some shit out, maybe talk a little bit of shit. It's that too.
As much as it sounds generic saying it's for everybody, it is. Now, does that mean that everyone's going to latch on? No. But for anyone who has the acumen, and the mindset to just open up, and like I was saying, to reiterate earlier, to have these conversations and engage and participate in this dialogue, and even with your inner dialogue, to just kind of check yourself on how you're moving in the world, in this city, and in relation to just coexisting with other people. Again, I'm not trying to get all deep with it, but it's we talked a lot about just making it. We weren't necessarily trying to make a Black story, because you don't have to. All you got to do is just tell your story, and what it flushes out in the end is what it flushes out. So it's not.
But I think it also could only have been made from Black folks, right? Because I think we're seeing something that might not have be able to be seen, outside that perspective. Can be related to, it's not just for us, but it can be related to by a lot of different types of people.
And we're not trying to avoid.
I think it took a certain outside perspective.
Yeah. We're not trying to avoid
a very white place.
It being Black, but we're not necessarily trying to, pump it up. It's obvious what it is.
Yeah. I just love that that you said that, Hassan. Like, when it comes to, I have like a question kind of like talks about the film industry and how you both like interact with it. But it's so cool to hear you say that, if you just tell your story, it should be self-explanatory that this is a Black story. And like, I feel like that's what's wrong with Hollywood right now, where they're like, all right, I'm trying to play to this area, so I'm going to do all these theatrics. So it's so really good to hear that, because I'm like, yes, if you just tell a regular story, it will show the female empowerment. It will show the Black person. It will show this person.
You said, what about Marvel?
Exactly. Exactly. So I got a really cool question for y'all before we go to commercial break. What's the wildest Portland thing that's ever happened to y'all?
Man, let me bring out my list.
Come on.
Look, you got to understand, you're talking to someone that spent 3 years driving the graveyard shift for a cab company, right? Damn. So like, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface in the show of some of the stuff that I've seen there. Where do you begin? Right.
So back when Obama was first campaigning,
okay,
and it was all but evident he was going to win the nomination, the election, really. And I was in a co-op. I was standing in line waiting to check out, and you know how you can feel when some eyes are on you. You know, someone just watching real heavy and hard. So I turn back, kind of look over my shoulder, and, you know, white gentleman with a child in I presume his own child in a stroller. And he's just smiling from ear to ear at me, like Joker smile. And I just, you know, I look over at him and he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, how you doing? I turn back around. But I can just feel him. Like, he's like, nah, come on, engage with me, give me more. And I look back and he's just like, you know, this is great. And I knew what he was referring to, but, you know, I'm devil's advocate. So I'm like, what in particular are you referring to? And he's just like, Obama, he's going to win. Isn't this great? And I had a choice in that moment. I was like, do I choose peace or violence? And I chose, you know, I chose peaceful violence. And I just said to him, I was like, I mean, to be honest with you, if you're all that excited about it, I don't know how great it is for us. And honestly, it really just gives you the ability to excuse and exonerate yourself of white guilt and white privilege. And everyone, you know, and there were people standing in line waiting to cashier. I go in there pretty often, and they all just kind of looked at me like, ooh, you let him have it. And he was furious, of course. And I don't remember exactly what his reply was. And I was just like, look, Obama will get one. He'll probably get 2 terms. And I don't know what's coming after that, but I promise you it'll be the biggest shit show in American politics we've ever seen. And yeah, funny enough. And just tapping into that, just tapping into that.
It's a Negro Damas over here.
It's just shit like that where, you know, there's this constant attempt to use Black people in Portland to placate, you know, one's own, you know, narrative, or just however they want to feel about themselves, however they want to present or themselves or perform. And and that shut that shit down.
Damn.
Peaceful violence.
Now that's a phrase. Peaceful violence. I appreciate y'all. Now we're gonna get off into our very first commercial break.
Do you have an event coming up? A project that'd be elevated by crisp visuals and clear audio? Look no further than the Backseat Critic Productions. Our email is bc.productions.pdx@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at bc.productions.pdx.
Awesome. Back from commercial break. Thank you, guys. Heading into the next question here. Could a show like this, Hassan Hates Portland, be more long form? Are you hoping to keep it more short form, website based, you know, for the clicks and the engagement on Instagram and platforms like that? Kind of where would you like the show eventually end up to be?
It'll be longer form.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of from the jump. This has always been, you know, the seed of a bigger thing. And a lot of that's, you know, already been worked out on paper, you know. But, you know, my idea with this is, you know, as a filmmaker, you know, I always look at things like what's possible? What can I get done on my own, or what can I make happen, rather than wait for somebody to, you know, give permission, give me money, give me whatever. And so this is a way to kind of enter a world that I want to kind of unpack. And so this is the first step into it. I think there's a lot there, you know, just in the concept alone. I want the concept to stand on its own, you know, not need something else, not need more, but to be able to build on. So this is kind of the foundation, the way I see it, of something much bigger. And I'm hoping that opportunity comes.
Awesome.
It's fire.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I have another question. Let me ask you this. You know, show's been out for a little while now. What's the reception been like when you're out and about, and Hassan, with you, it's kind of hard to escape it. But with Mischa, you're behind the scenes. But when you're talking to people about the show, what's the reception been like with different racial groups?
Oh, so I'll try that first. And Hassan, you're recognizable in a way. But overall, man, it's been really good, and I feel really, really grateful for that. Like, you put something out in the world, you put something out online, you don't know what's going to happen. I've never put out a web-based thing like this at all before. So it was a big leap. And, you don't even, at first, you're not even worried about what the response is. At first, you just hope there is a response. At first, you hope, first you're like, man, I hope people watch it, and, once it started getting traction, it really took off, it just took off. And it's been great to see. And the response has been, really positive overall, from what I can tell, across, not unanimous. There's always, nothing ever is, but it's been really positive reception. I heard a lot of really good, had people reach out to me from, not just from Portland, around the country, people who've seen it. That probably the biggest compliment I've heard is from other brothers or sisters, whether they've lived in Portland, they do or have, or they've just somewhere else and can relate. They've reached out and just been like, thank you, and thank you for saying it, and a lot of them will share an experience. They'll say, this one, I was in Portland once and this one thing happened, and stuff like that. But that's across groups, because it's not, I think what we're talking about isn't, like I was saying, maybe it took one of us to see the perspective, but it's an experience a lot of people have. And so it's been funny. Me and Hassan were talking earlier about how we keep getting pitched about, I had some crazy shit happen to me once in Portland. Let me tell you about it. You should put it in the show. And so it's been cool. We had a feeling when we were making it that we were touching on something. We were striking a chord with something that other people had. Because that's what you want. It's not just about what I experienced, but you hope that it's something that other people are feeling too, and that they can relate to. And that's been the response so far. And like I said, I feel pretty grateful for that. But I'm not getting stopped on the street like Hassan is.
Hassan, you're not looking up.
So actually, I'm a recluse, so it's different. It's weird, but it's getting stopped on the street. But it's cool. I had someone stop me the other day on Killingsworth, and it was a white couple, and actually, it was cool interaction, and just by what they ended up describing, just kind of talking about their own experience and effectively saying, what, we hate Portland too. We
that's crazy.
We can relate, we could relate. And I felt it. I was like, cool. It was like, I'm like, it's satire. I mean, there's obviously a love that we have for the city that we live in, that Mischa's from, and that I've been here so long, that you care enough to speak about it and speak on it and help contribute something to, the culture overall that'll help move the needle. But yeah, I mean, I'm still getting used to it. I don't think it's I stay indoors for the most part, so I probably haven't gotten touched up as much as I could, but I'm sure it'll ramp up.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have trolled them when they approached me. I would be like, "Wait, are you saying all black people look like? What are you talking about?"
So we had somebody reach out to tell us. It was a older white dude, and he was like, "Look, I think by accident I became a character in your show." And he talked about I don't remember where he was in town. He's in town, and he's like, where he put it, he's like, "I saw a black guy with a mustache and a beanie, and I thought it was Hassan." and I went up and started talking to him about the show, and but it wasn't Hassan. And he's like, I became that dude. But he's like, it's all good. It turned out he was a fan of the show too, so we had to talk about that. But he was like, he was like, yeah, I was. It was like Hassan Hates Portland come to life. He was saying I was in your show. I became that dude, or I am that dude.
That works on all angles. Back when Chappelle did his little impromptu show at Pioneer Square.
Right.
I rolled down there, and I can't tell you how many people stopped me and asked me if I was Dave.
Wow.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, and for real, you don't even look like him.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I get a Anderson pack, but I don't.
You get Corey in the house. That's what you get.
Corey in the house is
Get
crazy.
out of here with that bullshit. I don't look
Kyle
like him.
Massey is
I do
crazy.
not look like no Kyle Massey. Get the fuck out of here.
I'll take Anderson Paak. I get Drake, and man,
Okay.
nah, I'm good. I'm
I
good.
don't-
I get Larry.
My
I get Larry
man
Jones.
looks like, who is it? Channing Crowder. You get that?
Hell no.
That is right.
I ain't never got that in my life. Hell
Yeah, thank you. A gift that keeps on giving.
Right?
no. Oh my
Right?
god, that's funny as hell.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
But no, I be getting Larry Jones a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, I want to say, this is kind of like a two-part question. So, Mischa, you were able to actually work with one of my favorite actors, Chadwick Bosman, and one, I want to say that's like super cool to like actually be able to talk to someone who's like really like talk with them. And I guess the question I kind of want to ask for you is like, what was that like? And then the second part of that is, what's the next role you want to see for Hassan? Because you've already worked with, a great person, and what role would you want to see Hassan in next?
So two good questions. Chadwick he was a force of nature, rest in peace. He was, I met him when I was casting for a film we did called The Kill Hole. We shot it in Portland, but we were casting the lead parts in LA. And he was just in a casting call. He was a TV actor. Really? And so he was one of maybe 50 that we looked at. And I left the audition, I think on day 2, seeing him. And I said to my producer, like, I don't care what we do, but that dude's got to be in the film. He was like that. He just, of everybody else we saw dozens of people. He was a legend. Like he walked in and he just owned it. And it was just like that. And sure enough, I think something that says a lot about him that I always remember is that I said that to my producer. We go back to the hotel, and on the way back, Chadwick's manager called. He called my producer, Zach, and which is a little bit unusual. And he was like, Chadwick just wants to know how he did. and you're in this kind of negotiation. You can't quite say too much, even though we were just like, we're going to cast this dude, we can't quite say that yet. So we try to assure him, but it was like, it said a lot. He just wanted to know how he did. He really wants the part. He really put a lot into it. And he was that kind of guy. He was really thoughtful. And the whole experience of working with him was great. It was a really positive experience. And I think we and a lot of the cast crew of that film really we got really tight in a few weeks that we were shooting, and had, it was lasting, like it made an impression on all of us. And so it was like obvious to all of us. We're like, this dude's going to be a star. Like it was just, there it is. It was like, there was no doubt. And by the time that film came out, he'd already finished shooting 42, where he played Jackie Robinson. And, and he was off to the races, man. It went from there. A couple more films. He was in Wakanda, so it was something, but he was one of those gifted dudes that just from it, and he was a really good dude too. He was just a nice guy and a really thoughtful person. We had lots of really kind of long, deep conversations about stuff. That happens when you're, at least with me, with my actors, I like to talk. Like we get into it. We really talk through things, and I just remember, he came into town and we spent a couple hours just walking around the lake in Laurelhurst Park, just talking about the park, talking about everything, just kind of, and it was, so I'll always remember that, and it's the good ones always go, man. It's always the good ones, it's just too bad. Cause he was, I always wanted to see what he was going to do next, So, yeah. But I do get to see what, this brother does next. Hassan, it's a good question because I'm a little more short term with it. I'm like, well, the next thing he's going to do is more Hassan Hayes for, like I feel like even just inside the show, we're just getting started. So there's just a lot more to do. There's a lot more to explore. You got to understand, Hassan was not an actor, when we met almost 10 years ago, first day we met, first conversation we had, I was like, you ever been on screen? You should be an actor. And, he wasn't convinced. He didn't know me, we just met, but to me, it's the same sort of thing. You get that feeling and it was obvious. Took a little while, took many years. So this is, really his first role, but in a lot of ways it's, I feel like it's like he's been doing it for a long time, and has kind of a natural presence and gift with the camera type of thing. So, possibilities are endless, but I want to do more of the show first, and then we'll see. I don't want anybody else to get their hands on him yet.
You hear that, Hassan? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
I appreciate it. I think there's an agent position in there for you.
You get your 10%.
Okay, I'll take 5. I want to make sure I got
okay.
the talent.
Keep on glazing.
See, I'm acting regular, but when we got guests, they like to pour it on.
Like honey.
So my last question, this last segment, and then this is a question to you both, actually. So in this day and age when we have film, actors and directors are really looked at to people for like everything, and I always wonder for people who direct and are behind the scenes or on the sets, how do y'all take care of your mental health, like playing different characters, directing different stories? Like, how do you protect your own mental health from diving in and out of those stories?
It's a deep question. You want me to take that first? You want to go with that?
Should I crack it open? The infamous scar?
Yeah.
So I had a mental health breakdown of sorts about a year ago. I tried to take my own life in a pretty gruesome manner. The scar on my neck, if you'll notice in the show, is from an attempt to try to leave here. And a lot of that was driven by just what I've been through in this city. I've been here since '98, and there's like I said, there's a lot of hell I've been going through. And that's not necessarily to put it on the city, or, play this victim or blame, It's me, everywhere I go, there I am. But yeah, it's been difficult, and I try to check out. But I will say, to get somewhat spiritual, I almost feel like Mischa wouldn't let me leave. And it's kind of a miracle that I'm even still here. Medically, I shouldn't be here. But yeah, he's been one of the only pillars, and just foundations of anyone being solid, supporting me, having my back in this city. And the work that we've done, I've worked with him behind the scenes on a lot of his projects. But yeah, his unrelenting and undying belief in me has been a lifeline. And even when I came right out of the hospital, out of surgery after that incident, we talked about it, and he had just mentioned, he was like, "Hey, you want to film this?" And that question and just contemplating, considering that, and deciding that it was a lifeline. It injected life recovery therapy into me, like, all at once. And it was just like, all right, let's go. I'm not going to ponder on things. I'm not going to, it's all right. I'm here. I made it. It's move forward. Let's go. Let's do this. So yeah, for me, everything about this has been therapeutic. It's allowed me to be open and vulnerable, transparent, and honest. If that answers your question from my perspective.
That number one, I really appreciate you sharing that. And it takes a lot of power and strength to even say that on here. So I want to say, for me, and I know I speak for these guys who
likewise,
really appreciate you sharing that and feel comfortable, my man. And I know, Mischa, I know you have your own point, but just having people to tether you here, these guys here, and then my friends that Jordan's, Josh's, the Aaron's, I like, those are the people that that keep me grounded. And I'm glad that you have that.
I mean, I'm glad that y'all are here to listen, to hear it, to feel those realities, and have the courage to take it on. So yeah, I don't even when Mischa asked me if I would do these podcasts, I'm like, sure. I mean, but there's a bit of selectiveness to it, and at the end of the day, it's, if you're gonna talk, you got to feel comfortable talking to who you're talking to. And so, the fact, like, I feel comfortable, like, I listen to what you guys do, peeped it out, and it's just like, oh, absolutely, yeah, I got no problem. I got no problem sitting down and chopping it up with you guys. So appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
that made my day. I ain't gonna lie.
Imposter syndrome. I have it so much sometimes. But cause I also want to be fair too, Mischa, for yourself. Before we go to our last break, I'm curious what about yourself?
I think one thing I'll say is, after that situation, that your timing was off. It wasn't a year ago; it was almost 2 years ago. Because when that happened,
was it 2 years?
It was, yeah. Because it was just a week or two before we shot the first episode.
Oh, that's right.
And so we were already we were getting ready to go, and then this happened, and I don't know how else to say it, but we had been working together, kind of about talking through the show, getting ready. But after this happened, he was a different person in the best way possible, in all the ways he described, in ways that selfishly work really well for an actor. The vulnerability, and kind of, I think he just said, fuck it. I think that was what he was like, fuck it, I'm here. Like, let's just go. There was some hesitation before, there was maybe some nervousness. I'm not sure if I really want, and then, but by the time, I asked him, yeah, so like, you sure you still want to do this? He was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm all the way in. And I'll say, he's a funny motherfucker too. So, like, this is the dude that can walk out of the hospital and be cracking jokes about what just happened, like, and to the point that would make everyone else uncomfortable because they weren't ready to laugh about it, but he was laughing. He was telling jokes, but that helped. Like, that was
the room for sure.
That was all part of it. But it's a good question, man, because look, I think probably everyone here knows, and you know, artists of all sorts struggle. It's a very real thing, you know, like I've had my own struggles. Lots of folks I know have. And, you know, the mental health aspect is very real. And in a lot of ways, I think anyone who is, whether it's art or something else, anyone who's trying to create anything in this world, trying to, where there didn't used to be something, you're up against some demons. Like that's just part of the game, you know? And so that comes with a lot, and it's hard, and not everyone makes it through that struggle, but that's because you are in the act of creation. And that's a beautiful, a very powerful thing. And I think that what has helped me, to answer your question, because definitely been there and been in some dark places throughout that. But what has helped me is realizing that the point or the goal isn't to do something so that you get any certain accolades or certain recognition or attention. The point is the work itself. The point is the act of creation. If you just focus on that, it's perfect as is. You know, that's the thing. It's not about you. It's not about your ego, right? You know, it's not about, I hope, you know, but it feels like it is, you know, and it's very personal, very real. But like, for me, when I start going there, I just bring myself back to focus on the work that's in front of me and doing that the best I can. And what comes will come. But if I know that I put my all into something and really tried my best and gave it everything, that's as good as I can do. You know, that's the goal. And that takes the pressure away from Mischa needing to do this or Mischa needing to do that, because I think, you know, a lot of us, it's the, you know, I know for me, there's a certain kind of pressure, a certain kind of like, you know, want to get somewhere with something. You take that away and you focus on the work, and the work speaks for itself. And if it doesn't, you start all over, you try again, and you take what you learned last time and you do it the next time. So that, at least for me, that shifted my perspective, in realizing that, you know, I'm a channel or a vessel. I'm doing something that's not just me. That is something beyond me, and trying to serve that rather than serve myself.
Well, I want to say I appreciate you both for, you know, sharing your perspectives, and for all the listeners who are listening, you know, mental health is very important. And if you're listening to this is, I feel like, a healthy dialogue or what it's like to talk about it. So I don't think this is talked about enough in mental health. It takes a village. It takes a community. Yes, you know, the hotline numbers, all of that. But like when it really comes to a community, it's a lifelong thing. So I really appreciate you both for speaking on that. And we're going to get to our last break, and then we're going to let you guys get out of here.
And we're back from our last commercial break. And once again, thank you guys for being patient with this. So both of y'all, I just got one last question for this last segment. Let me ask you this. You know, both of you have been here. I don't, Mischa, you're from here. Hassan, you've been here 20 plus now at this point. How much would you say the city's changed, or how would you say the city differs today versus, say, 10, 20 years ago?
Man.
Well, for me, that's a mildly complex question. I've often said that the city hasn't changed much, more than its underbelly has been revealed over time. But at the same time, I mean, you know, everything changes. It's evolved, it's grown, it's got bigger. But it's interesting to me. What's been revealed is that it's, as much as it attempts to present itself as liberal, progressive, and open, and Mischa and I have talked about it, there's a there's this thing of where it's like, hey, this is how we do shit in Portland. And if you don't, you don't move like it and with it, then you're not one of us. And effectively, it's almost like a go back to Africa or back to where you came from. If you don't parrot the politics and the sentiment and really just the very myopic, like homogenous culture that it can be. I've always said it's kind of the place where the nerds, found refuge and then built out their own clubhouse.
Okay.
And which is great. It's cool. I'm here. I think you can both tell that there's some nerd in both of us, and I'm proud of that. But, but also I'm open to anything and everything. Like you can't offend me hardly ever. I'll say that's, I'll respond as like, that's some crazy shit, but your prerogative to have your own perspective and your own views. And I'd rather be an open ear to sit and, allow someone the freedom of their own speech. If I'm going to sit here and profess that, I have the right to mine. So, there's a lot we can go into, but I'll leave it at that. Portland can tend to be a lot more performative than it can be actual in what it is or what it claims to be.
I feel like answering that question is its own podcast, its own episode. I'll try to just go back 10 or 20 years and not before, because I can. I grew up in Northeast, and I can remember in the late 90s. That's right. That's what's up.
Feels good.
I remember, when it started changing, and in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was a big shift. Alberta and Mississippi and all this stuff started happening, and that's demographic, it's economic, but it was a big cultural shift, right? Northeast was a predominantly black area. Northeast was, and it's still pretty. It's Portland. It's still diverse, but it was that started changing, and the culture started changing a lot. And I remember I went away for a couple of years and came back, and I was walking down Alberta, and I felt like that Robert Heinlein book, Stranger in a Strange Land. Like, people were looking at me like I didn't belong there. I was like, but I've been going to La Serenita since I was 10. Like, like, what are you talking? But there was people that act like I was in the wrong neighborhood. And, it kind of went out from there. In a lot of ways, I feel like Portland and Oregon and the West Coast has always had a culture. It's whether it's a frontier thing, Lewis and Clark type of frontier, or just the West. People always gone West to kind of do their own thing and pursue their own stuff. And I love the West Coast for that. And in Portland, in some ways, I feel like that attracted certain people who didn't mind the rain, and then it kind of got commodified like that, and then it got turned into, that became like the way we do things, like Hassan was talking about before. It was just like anything goes, and then it became like, well, anything goes inside this box, and it started going from there to sort of where you get to that more performative stuff that we have. Hasn't been all bad. There's been a lot of good developments that happened, in Portland, but I think it, for me at least, there's been a disconnect. There's been more hypocrisy, and that's been harder to deal with. It's been hard to deal with, like, when you see the truth, but then you see what the truth is presenting itself as, and they're two different things, and it's really hard to kind of square those things, circle that square or whatever. So, but I think we're seeing it come full circle in a lot of ways. I think right now what's happening is Portland is trying to figure out what it wants to be when it grows up. You know, I think it's on the cusp of turning and becoming a bigger place. And part of what's happening is it's resisting doing that. So it's causing a lot of tensions. But to me, it's inevitable. We're on the West Coast after all, you know, we're in the United States. So for better, for worse, I think that's happening, but it's you know, it's my hometown. A lot of my best friends, most of my best friends, you know, live in Portland, and really tight, really close to the place. It's close to my heart. But that's also why it's harder to see some of the things, you know, like, you know, someone you love is fucking up. You want to tell them, right? You know, like, you know, that's your duty to tell them, you know, you want to let them know, you know, and that feels like that's, you know, that's just what you're supposed to do. And so, you know, in some ways with the show, I feel like part of it's doing that, but also, you know, it's all love. It's just, it's fun. You know, we're trying to have fun at the same time, you know, because also I think we all know, like, Portland can be a real self-serious place. It can really take itself really seriously and not laugh at itself, you know, and not like, you know, it's fine. Everyone do their thing, but, you know, you should be able to laugh at yourself. We all got to.
Mm-hmm. To Mischa's point of it's like Portland. There's an element of where, you know, Portland doesn't want certain things or want us or whatever, but it pushes back. But ultimately, we're here because, and all of us, people like us, are here because it needs us and it needs this. And somebody has to stand up and stand on business and just push to make, you know, to present these options and these opportunities to people, not necessarily force them upon anyone, but just say, look, here's the option and here's what it can open up and how it can make things better if you choose to accept it instead of, you know, fight against it.
Awesome. All right, guys, I'm curious. For individuals that are watching the show, what do you want them? What do you want their biggest takeaway to be? Specifically, if those individuals have my skin complexion, aka, what do you want white people to take away from the show? Because I think the show's hilarious, but I want to know what you guys want us to know.
I'll say this, you know, like, again, like, I don't make anything, especially this show, like, with like a set agenda, like, you know, this is what this is about. But I guess one thing is, like, just so you all know, like, as a PSA, this is what this looks like sometimes when y'all act like this. Like, this is from the outside. This is what this looks like. Okay. You know, this is how that comes off. You know, and you know, all that comes with that. You know, I think that's part of it in a lot of ways. And the show is just kind of seeing it through one character's eyes, kind of holding up a mirror to what we're witnessing. We're just watching it happen more than and so it's just kind of holding up that mirror. And this is what this looks like. And man, it can be weird. It can, and not in that keep Portland weird type of way. It can be real. It can be real weird and uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Laugh. Take away laughter.
Yeah, that's it.
Take away humor. Take away some fun. I mean, you know, we had to find a way to make this palatable for even us to be able to do it. So we turn it into art. We turn it into laughter. I mean, you can be serious about something, but also enjoy it and have fun with it. You know, laugh at the characters, all of them, you know, just laugh at the scenarios and the situations and like allow yourself some grace. I mean, you know, all of us got demons. All of us got things that we're dealing with. We're not perfect and whatever. So the laughter takes the edge off of it. You know, the humor takes the edge off of it and gives you a comfortable, safe space to examine, you know, and recreate and reinvent, you know, your city, your culture, yourself.
I don't think anyone's going to call this show a safe space.
I was about to really about to.
I know how safe it is.
Exactly.
I was setting the trap.
Gotcha.
Come on in. It's safe. Gotcha.
You guys kind of already answered this question I had of like, what are you wanting to, with the film, with the role of like, what are we fighting Portland to become into? So I think I kind of want to like shift it up and kind of ask you guys when it comes to, just expanding, right? Because you both talked about doing more. Like, what's that next step for you guys both? What do you think has to be in season 2?
I think the show's about people. It's about characters, right? Like that's whether it's a song character or all the other characters that are in it. And for me, one of the top things I want to do is just expand the characters that we're seeing and get a little deeper with some of them. And by that, just spend more time with some of them and just, explore some different formats. So like I want to, more of that. I think there's so much material, but there's also so many people, so many characters, composites of characters, ideas that to explore. So I think there's, I want to do. That's the thing I'm excited about, for sure. Been taking notes for a long time.
Okay.
One of the things that got me excited about it when he first told me about it, showed me the scripts, was the characters. It was just like, I was like, wow, there's a universe here. There's so much we can do with any and all of these characters. I mean, it's almost overwhelming, in a sense. But it's exciting. To me, especially when you come up with something that you don't necessarily have to force the creativity, or the work. It's just like we joke about it all day. Like, this shit writes itself every day. It will never be without material.
It does.
That's just the reality of it. So yeah, it's I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Okay.
Awesome. I got one final question for you guys. It's a fun one. I want you to each name one dream cameo for the show.
Ooh.
Dream cameo. There's got to be Portland related cameo.
It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Man.
I mean, the easy one for me is I'm going to always go Kanye.
Oh,
Interesting.
Kanye in Portland?
Kanye in Portland's its own show. That's a spin-off show from this.
I think it'd be fun, Alberta. I think it'd be more so him walking downtown and all of a sudden somebody drops some bird shit on him, Balenciagas or something. Like, do you see this coat? What are you doing? They just start spazzing out.
Ooh, okay.
Man, Kanye. I don't know if I can beat that.
Who you got, Mischa?
What about you, Mischa?
I mean, all I did was I just think the actors that I really like. It wasn't even cameos so much, I gotta think on that one. There's so many different people. I'd almost want to. I'll tell you this ain't even a cameo, but I just really love what Lakeith Stanfield does, and I would just he's already on the list of the people I want to work with. That's just an actor I want to work with. A really good one. It's not Kanye though.
Who was that again? You just started lagging a little bit.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Okay.
Okay.
I could hella see him on the show.
Yeah, from Atlanta.
I'm trying to smoke with Lakeith.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What's the dude? He was on Paperboy.
Yeah.
Are you talking from Atlanta?
Yeah, from
Are you
Atlanta.
talking about Childish Gambino?
No, not good.
You talking about the dude who actually played
Paperboy.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I
culturally tapped in, you know.
He would be. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
He would play that.
All them really.
Speaking of playing,
Yeah.
Speaking of playing some, I'm gonna play a real quick game with y'all. It should take no more than 60 seconds. You got time?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. So because we're virtual right now, for the purpose of not getting confused, Mischa, I'm gonna just ask that you answer first, and then Hassan, you can follow up. It's this quick game I play with all our guests. It's called Shot Clock. So I just want some real rapid fire responses from you. So, for example, I'm gonna ask you a quick question just as a teaser. What's your favorite color, red or blue? Mischa, you're gonna answer
Red.
Hassan.
Blue.
Okay, so you get how to play. All right, so y'all ready?
Yeah, just so you know, I'm really bad at
Okay.
rapid fire questions, but I'll try my best.
I peeped. Nah, but we got it. All right, it's a average Portland day is 50 degrees. Name me one TV series you like to binge.
Ozark.
Okay.
Good show. Really good show.
Good taste.
Interesting.
Battlestar Galactica.
Wow.
Exactly what I would say.
All right, sounds good. All right, whether it's downtown, the west side, whatever you want to choose. What's the best part of the town?
Powell's books.
Oh, I'm in like Section, north. Yeah, like best part, like sections, like northeast,
northeast,
the north.
Yeah,
northeast.
Inner northeast. Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that motherfucker. No.
Yeah.
All right.
I said out of town. Do I have to choose?
Out of town? Oh, that's crazy work.
Out of town.
That's wild.
He's got the right answer.
All right.
Here he goes.
Yeah. You walking through Portland for an hour, what are you more likely to see more of? Black Lives Matter signs or clipboards with the petition?
Black Lives Matter signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Lives Scatter.
Black Lives Scatter is crazy. All right, last one is a serious one, okay? So, you guys did great, and thank you again for coming on the show. If in the future you could pick one guest to come on and be a guest on the Play No Games podcast, who would it be? But here's a caveat: you got to help us get him, whoever it may be.
Man, you saw how long it took me to answer the cameo question. I don't know. And I got to help you. Oh man! All right.
Yeah, you got to help me. I mean, man, you know everybody.
I'm not going to be able to do a lightning answer on that. Yeah, I need some help here. You go ahead. Let's switch it up, Hassan.
Me go first?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's about helping you get them, I mean, I got to go with Tyler.
Okay.
Tyler.
I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm assuming Tyler the Creator because he just dropped the album. So, like, if you got them type of plugs, but
there you go.
Hey, I would love it. So,
well, I'm just.
You should talk
to
one of my brothers. I'll tell you that. I've got a lot of brothers, and you should talk to one of them.
Okay. One, I want to say I appreciate you both for bearing with the internet. I was like, we gotta get both of y'all in the room, and I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate y'all coming on our show, and what y'all doing for the city is major because it's a story that needs to be told. So from bottom of our hearts, we appreciate your time, energy, and effort.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
For sure.
So folks, like I always say, if you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to also be a staple in the city to do what these good brothers are doing, to help bridge the gaps for a lot of people who are trying to make Portland, what it should be. So I'm Cartier Rob.
Tay Ford.
I'm Cas.
We
Y'all
out.
can't see them, but also we out.
Awesome.
I appreciate y'all, man. For real.
Thank you. Hey,
Thank you.
Yeah, for real.